Love is really a great factor which contributes to the longevity, but is it true sometime along the way any one of the spouses can quote unquote fall out of love? If it happens, what can be done by the couple to keep the love burning and still stick together forever? And well, we also ask if any of you have had an experience which you probably also had that thought, or did you try to entertain that thought or possibility? I see giggles.
Yung mga guilty yun tumatawa.
Okay, then both couples are guilty. And I will call on you. Sorry, you first. Oh.
We have a tendency to associate love with a romantic love. But we know that as love matures, you realize that love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment. Love is a decision. And they say that the deepest level of love is when the lover is able to suffer for the beloved. A shallow level is you're attracted to your beloved. A deeper level is when you start to feel compassionate for your beloved. But the deepest level of love is when one is able to sacrifice for the beloved. As you mature, as you go through your married life, you're not supposed to expect to feel the same way you did the first time you saw your spouse. When you had butterflies in your chest and everything was rosy and the stars aligned and spelled out the name of your spouse. But nevertheless, you're able to experience a deeper kind of love. And you're able to say, I am still in love, but in a deeper way. When you start looking for that romantic kind of love, I guess you'll have to go to the third party of the marriage and ask him, Lord, you'll have to fill me with love. You'll have to fill me with your love so that I may be filled with love, and once again, I could give love to my spouse rather than expecting my spouse to make me feel love. I guess that's part of the maturity that you acquire as you grow not only with your spouse, but also with God in marriage. So if we start to understand that love is not just the romantic love that we know, then we'll realize that you never really fall out of love.
Thank you, Dr. Dennis.
I mentioned that at the early part of the program that to at least support our longevity together is really commitment. So it's an action of the will and not of the heart, actually. So if that is the case, we need to rectify, we need to fortify especially our commitment to one another. So that to a certain extent, it's really very normal for couples, like kami ni Banji and myself, that we argue every now and then. So because we're talking about two different personalities. But what can you do when you agree, but you're basing it saying that that's a commitment of mine, that's something permanent, So even, for example, we have differences. Sooner or later, we will be seeing each other eye to eye again. And I think what helps a lot is the grace of God. That's why I think the sacraments is very important, especially to us, especially to the couples, not all to everyone actually. But the moment there's some problems, you feel weak, at certain times because of the environment happening to us, temptations in the environment. What we need is to rectify that through grace, and that means frequenting the sacraments. Especially, I think what's very important is the sacrament of confession. In our courses, in our BID, it's a prerequisite. Actually, it's part of the program that we have a confession, which we offer to the participants. Spiritual direction, also confession. And after that, we have renewal of vows after they have gone to confession, which is a big boost, to their relationship. So, we cannot do it alone. So we need some fortifications, strengthening of the will, because we're human beings. Through time, we've been with the same person. It's not that easy. Of course, if you love one another, that is the main basis of your relationship. But even through time, because what's happening around us, like now, the environment is different from before. No? It's easy to, to just follow what the Jodices are doing. Let's say our neighbors, our friends. No, it's something for them, but it doesn't mean that it's something normal. It's something right. No? Many times, many what that's normal is not right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Lisa, I would also like to say,
Yes.
when we stand here, you might all think that we've had a wonderful sailing, right? But between the two of us, Denny said it's okay to say it. That there was infidelity in our marriage. Okay. And when it happened, it was very painful for me. But when that happened, we were already servants of God. I guess yung sinasabi kasi ni Tibbs na fortification is a problem. Because when you become servants of the Lord, there is a temptation to be over busy with giving talks, with administration, with na yung fortification, that relationship with God and with each other, yes, becomes compromised. That it becomes hard to love because you're just packed with activities, and that's what we learned, right? But the beautiful thing about that, what I had learned about that part of our marriage, when I went to God every time, okay, and this is the secret. When you're the injured spouse, when the hurt starts to come, you should not feel that alone. You should immediately go into prayer to set your heart and your mind right. And what I had learned from that is that in reality, Dennis is my God, not God. Because he holds the key to my happiness. That's what Jesus told me over and over again. I allow that in your life because in reality, it is Dennis who holds your happiness, not myself. Your love affair is yes with your husband, but your love affair mostly is with God. Any one of the spouses can be unfaithful, but God remains faithful. I can still love when I feel unloved. Because my purpose in our marriage is to give him love. If he gives me love, swerte, bonus. Praise be to God. But my primary purpose is to derive the love from God and to give it to him. Whether he accepts it or not, that's between him and God. So when that happened to us, I had to learn that. And he also had to learn how to humble himself when he realized it. And so because of that, we are not so sure, so mayabang of our love for each other. As Steve says, we fortified our spiritual life. Because we both are susceptible. I'm susceptible to despair, and he's susceptible to other things. But when that happened, our love became more mature. Kasi now it's based on God. So yes, you can fall out of love, romantic love. And yes, you can hurt each other. And yes, you can be unfaithful. And yes, you can be hurt. But if you, at the very onset of pain, come to God with it, God will show you what that's for. And you and he can transform that into real love. Real love is when you can love when there's no reason to love. Real love is when you can love when it's so difficult to love. That's what love is. Because that's how he loved. That's what I learned. So even when you fall out of love, God uses that to make you grow in love. That's what we learned.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace, for sharing a part of your heart with us and your journey. It means a lot. Thank you so much.